Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Rebuilding Health again. Okay, I'm just checking and having a bit of trouble streaming to Rumble. That's all right. No problem. I'll just remove that. Not a big deal. Okay, so let me know if you have any trouble hearing me. I'm having a bit of technical issues, but everything seems to be okay at the moment. Just waiting on. I think Jonathan might be joining us at some point, and not sure if anyone else might be as well. Good. Thanks, B. I appreciate that. All right. G'day. It's good. Thanks for joining us, everyone. All right. So please, if you do have any questions today, just let me know with a few cues in front of it. All right. I'll just put a few things up here. And let's see what we got. Let's see. Yep. There we go. Let's do that. All righty. There we go. So we're all set up and ready to go. All right. So let's talk about carnivore diet and health and rebuilding and things like that. I was out, I think I was actually had a really good conversation with Lee Copus the other day. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it or not, but you should go check that out. He's got a great story. He's got a great channel. Actually, he does a lot of great videos, and his story of losing his colon, and largely due to the advice that he followed from his doctors, hospital advice. It brings back some memories of my own. You follow the expert advice, and it just gets you into more trouble, which is a bit of a shame, especially when you're a young guy and you lose your colon and things like that. So you guys should go check that out if you haven't already. Good. Excellent. Thanks, Josephine. So let's talk carnivore and rebuilding health. And here's Jonathan. He will help us there because he's one of the great specialists out there. How you doing, big guy?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Apologies I'm late. I've been dealing with a lot of things this morning already. I've already had a number of phone calls, texts, and emails, and trying to jig up setups you can see without me having to hold my phone and just screw my shoulders.
Fair enough. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, it's busy schedule. You're running YouTube channels and you're doing consultancies and all sorts of other things. It's time just never enough hours in the day. But,
yeah, it's odd I say that, but I've been asleep for about 3 hours in total. I'm not exaggerating. So yeah,
fair enough. We all need those naps every now and then too. Though.
Yeah.
I've got a question already. When I do fasting, how long will I be okay? Is within 24 hours? Yeah, of course. Depending on where you are at, I don't think you should ever force a fast. Okay, I think you should do it. Fasting should be comfortable. I don't think I'm not big into the. I know some people think you got to prime yourself and eat like it's your job until and then have maybe do it for 2 or 3 weeks and then maybe fast for 5 days. I don't think so. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think you should force feed yourself for one, and I don't think you should force a fast either. I think you should do it when you're comfortable. Me, I do fast every now and then. Of course, I do have like a 16 to 18 hour window or sometimes 20-hour window where I don't eat every day. But when it comes to like a prolonged fast, like 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 days, then that's just when I feel like doing it. It's not when I don't force it, and I do it when I feel comfortable doing it. I just get sick of eating, which means I'm not hungry, and then I'll just stop for as long as it as long as I feel like it. I'll break the fast when I feel like it. So, I mean, Jonathan might have a different take on that, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think probably largely it's more of a tool. It's not something you.
Yeah, sounds off, mate. Still can't hear you.
I think it's you. I might definitely in.
It sounds muffled, like I can just barely make it out.
Oh, you can hear me. This is muffled. Okay. Is that any better?
That's it. All right.
Does that work? Yes, no.
I can't really hear you, mate. Technical issues. I can hear your hand on that phone. Just can't hear your voice.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's it. There you go. All done.
So they've decided to build these little these stand things where it somehow holds the microphone. It covers it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a great investment of my money. Brilliant. 12 quid down the drain. Anyway, yeah. So I think largely speaking, it's a tool. Really, I think a lot of people do default into fasting, and in terms of like, not deliberately doing it. In terms of, I only eat once one day and twice the other day, and don't eat for 36. But most people I know in carnivore space, they're eating between 2 and 3 meals per day. It's not a 1 meal a day thing. That's just my experience. In terms of people that I know that I've worked with, I've probably spoken to thousands of people at this point. Maybe 5% of people actually do OMAD, if that, and they actually do default back to a 2 meal a day kind of protocol eventually down the line. Anyway, I think for some people though, having it as a tool to sort of recognize what true hunger is quite helpful. So with that being said, if you're someone that deals with appetite dysregulation, and say you're waking up and you think you're hungry, but it's like really you're probably not. You're probably just a bit dehydrated. You need a bit of salt. Your electrolyte balance is a bit off. You've had a hot, sweaty night. You've had a long day before, and you didn't eat enough salt the day before. So it's hard to pin down exactly what you actually need. So what I usually say to people is, before you commit to something like this, which is an inherent tool, find your default in terms of how much you drink water in the day, how much salt you add to your food, and that will change day to day. So if you're sat there with your meal, or says cook your meal, eat it. Oh, it doesn't quite taste. I didn't quite have that feeling like you're not salivating much. You didn't really enjoy the food. Add a bit of salt. Okay, maybe one crank on the thing, a quarter of a teaspoon. Find some sort of way to sort of work out roughly what you're having. Then up it from there if it's an issue. I don't really come across people long-term carnivores that are eating, loads of one day, then nothing the next day. I think the only exception I know where someone's actually having like a flip-floppy kind of plan is Phil Escott. So he'll do 1 meal a day on one day. The next day he'll be 2 meals. That's where he's defaulted. I don't think there's a problem with that because if we look at what we've done ancestrally for hundreds of thousands of years, it's not that we've just had 1 meal a day. Maybe 1 week we've had 20 meals. There's in 20 feedings, 20 sittings. Cooked food, fermented food, had it fresh off the carcass. Then other times it might be, there's no food for 4 days. Well, never mind. Well, on the 5th day we're going to eat loads more food. So we're living in a society now where food is so accessible that it's not really a problem in terms of trying to seek it out. So we shouldn't really be in that position. And it seems like an unnecessary stress to deliberately do something without an intended goal. So the idea of doing it longer than 24 hours, to answer the lady's question, is fine. It's not a problem if you default to that. Now, if you have to force it, like you said, I'm kind of rehashing the same point here, but that's when it doesn't become fun. It's not a sustainable way of eating if you have to force it. Some people do have to sort of have a protocol. They sort of say, am I actually hungry? Am I just being greedy? And most people are just greedy because they don't know any better. It's not their fault. The food system is the way it is. We're defaulted to believe in breakfast, lunch, dinner with 2 to 3 snacks in between. We used to eat 3 meals a day back in my nan's sort of younger age. Now we're eating about 6 times per day. I eat 4 times per day. That's based on the scale, my body weight, my output, the nutritional needs that I have. So it's different to me versus someone else. Now, if you've got serious health issues, you might find yourself defaulting to less just because it puts you into a state of autophagy for a bit longer. And it might be useful too, but that's basically my handle of it. Really, it's something which people tend to gravitate towards, but maybe not 24 hours. Maybe for some people that's too stressful. Maybe their kidneys can't withhold enough electrolytes at a given time, so they drink loads of water in the fasting period, excrete a load of B vitamins. Oh, now I feel flaky, feel lightheaded throughout the day. So that's where I see a problem. So yeah, it's a tool. It's not a goal. The goal isn't too fast. The goal is to get the subjective feel result from the fast. That's my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, fasting is a tool, and that's about it. And I think another thing people should remember too is that a good clean carnivore diet is a fasting mimicking diet as well. You still get autophagy even from just a good high fat carnivore diet. So do you really need to fast? I mean, so these are things you need to think about as well. I think when you talk about people, like I like to. I mean, my week just mixes up. I mix it up. It just depends on how I feel. But I think a lot of people too, like you're saying, like eat 5-6 times a day. They're like literally scared not to eat. It's scared to miss a meal because they think that it might screw up their metabolism or something like that.
The metabolic rate. I mean, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. There's usually a bit of lag with these sort of streams, but metabolic rate is based largely on your body weight, and people say it's your muscle mass. A better determinant of your metabolic rate, how much energy you burn off down the line, is based on your body weight. Yeah, there's nuance to it. I mean, a 100-kilo man with muscle versus 100-kilo man without muscle, significant muscle, will obviously oxidize more fat and utilize more energy. But if we look at the biggest lever, the average person coming to this space is probably not heavily muscled. So,
that's right. Yeah. So I mean, I think fasting is a good tool, but I think just do it when you're comfortable. I don't think you should make it a goal to fast. I think it's just another tool to get you to your goal. And honestly, you really just don't need to do it. If you don't feel like it, if you feel like just don't you just can't eat that day, then don't. Simple. It's not that difficult, really. So I wouldn't stress about it. Okay, another question here. What's your take on pork? What do you think?
I've got a biased opinion on that. I don't eat pork, so I can't really say. I mean, in terms of like the nutritional profile, could you have it every day? Probably, yeah. If you're a very light person, perhaps inactive, sedentary, not a lot of muscle, small female, maybe gravitate a bit more towards beef and lamb. It's going to give you a bit more in terms of like nutritional profile, better omega-3 to 6 ratio. But we're picking at weeds here, sort of thing. We're talking about like maybe a 4-to-1 versus like a 6-to-1 kind of ratio in fatty acid profile, something like that. It's not going to break the bank if you like bacon and it keeps you on the diet. For me, I don't eat it for a number of different reasons. I can't tolerate it. I don't like the smell of it. I don't enjoy it. I don't have a problem. But I understand in the US it's a slightly different system with their feed. And if they're fed as a monogastric animal, bad food will translate to the fatty acid composition, the toxins that they store within it. So if you're from maybe Australia, I'm not sure, you'll be able to speak better than I can, or maybe England for sure. Pork here is generally fed quite well. Not ideal, but better than perhaps the US where it's feed a lot junk basically. So it depends where in the world you are. So there's always a locality to it as well.
Yeah, that's the same as Australia. You do I would say monogastric animals depends on where you source it from, where it comes from. Like in Australia, it's all feedlot and it's all fed on soy grain and garbage. Some of it's even worse than that. Actually, some of it I know I've seen them some of them are fed plastics. Literally straight up plastics. But so anything that they eat comes out in whatever they produce, whether that's bacon or other parts of the pig, for pork and things like that. And same with chickens and the eggs and so on. So I always stay away from monogastric animals in Australia unless I know the source and it's like pasture raised or something like that. But I mean, every now and then is like if you're gonna have it once in a week, like there are things that you can do to mitigate your risk of any sort of problems that you might have too. You can experiment with these things as well. I mean, if you eat it, say, once a week, it's not really going to cause any real harm, generally speaking. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah. I if I liked it and tolerated it, I'd eat it a few times a week. I wouldn't stress about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't mind eating bacon. I don't eat it anymore. I actually used to eat it quite a bit, but it really didn't do me any harm just eating some of the bacon, as long as it was. I mean, I'd never put. Some of them have that fake smoky flavored and things like that. That sort of gave me headaches. So I stayed away from that sort of stuff. But apart from that, generally speaking, you're going to be okay anyway. What's your views on exogenous ketones? I think they're a waste of time and a waste of money, actually. What do you think, John?
I think the context is important. So we've got quite strong evidence on using them for endurance athletes. So my friend, Richard Smith, Keto Pro in England, UK, technically Wales, part of the UK. He obviously produces that as a product. I get given them, and I do use them if I get given them. But I use them more of a lever when I'm really feeling depleted. So perhaps my body fat is low. I'm not eating a lot of fat because I'm on a strict bodybuilding contest prep diet sort of thing. So I'll use them when I feel particularly flaky. But it's more so for the electrolytes within them. So they're all bound to magnesium, calcium, things like that, potassium. So potassium, beta hydroxybutyrate, calcium, all that sort of stuff. So you get an additional benefit in that kind of regard. Now people will take them because they think it's going to make them ripped or help them oxidize more fat. It will leverage your body system into using fat as a fuel. But what people don't really understand is what you feed it is what it burns. The same thing's true when people make these studies up. And I understand where it comes from. Is you sort of say, I went from a carbohydrate-rich diet to a fattier diet, and my fat oxidation's gone right up. It's like, well, no shit. No wonder why, because you're eating fat. Your body will burn and utilize what you feed it.
That's right.
So it's not going to leverage fat loss results. However, I think the nuance there is if you're an endurance athlete, someone that has a lot to do during a day, you need that amplification of ketones, perhaps within the brain for mood benefits, things like that. It could be helpful, but if you're following a carnivore ketogenic style diet, it's not going to suddenly make you ripped. It's not going to. I mean, you can hit PBs in the gym all the time. So I think it has a very specific context where it's useful. That's been my experience of it. But I think if someone's going to spend the money, spend it on food.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Just eat more beef and so on. Like those are good examples of when you might use it, especially if you're like very lean body mass like yourself, because you do actually produce more ketones when you carry a little bit of fat rather than so the leaner you get, the lower your ketone production will actually be. Like so. There are other times that you might want to, like if you're diagnosed with cancer, for example, and you're going through treatments, exogenous ketones can be a benefit there. But generally speaking, for the general population, general public, I think it's a real waste of money because they're quite expensive. They're not cheap,
Yeah, you're not. It's not something you buy to get ripped or set PBs in the gym. You're better off leveraging other things, cheaper supplements that they do work in a sense, but it's like when I used to work at a vegan shop. I'd have people come in to buy these extravagant things which were 40 quid a bottle. It's like a 2-week supply. I'm like, you probably just need magnesium or like vitamin D or something. Will give you an overall benefit in some sense. So I'd save your money, but if you're minted, you're a long distance athlete, go for it. That's what I kind of think.
Yeah, and again, like, if you're carrying a bit of body fat too, I really don't think you're going to need them either, because you're going to produce those ketones anyway. So again, like from diet, I think it's going to be cheaper and be just as beneficial, really. Just depends on where you're coming from, like we are saying. Thank you for the super sticker there, guys. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, cheers, Big much appreciated.
Does glycine elicit an insulin response or converts to glucose? It tastes like sugar. Thanks. What do you think there, Jonathan?
It will do, but in the context of having it, when people have it for what they use it for, no. So what we know about amino acids, so say we have however many amino acids are, 9, 11 essential ones, I can't remember. It's not important how many we have, but about 45% of them, just under half of them, are gluconeogenic. Problem is, when people say that, they think we shouldn't eat protein. But again, within the context of a carnivore diet, where you're having mixed, protein and fat bolus, it's not going to elicit a significant response. I've tested it myself. The higher body mass you are in terms of muscle mass, the less of an effect it will have. Now, having glycine is probably a helpful thing because we don't eat the way we used to eat ancestrally. And saying that, people say, "Oh, but I eat bone broth," and it's like, yeah, but it's not that much glycine in bone broth unless you're eating tons of it, and that will probably give you gastric distress if you did have tons of it. So, I mean, in studies, people are using it typically around 3 to 5 grams before bed as a GABAergic supplement, so it can aid sleep, things like that. So it is quite useful. It does have some utility. It also amplifies alongside things like taurine and leucine, the anabolic pathways. So it's useful if you're a bodybuilder, perhaps, to use it in that kind of sense. I use it with taurine, creatine, and glycine in my post-workout carnivore milkshake thing. Do I think it's going to give me like 20% benefit? No, maybe like 1, 2. But I'm using that because I know within the the whey, the dairy, the eggs I'm eating in that meal, the glycine content will be lower because it's not got connective tissue, because there's no collagen to speak of really in whey protein. So that's where it's useful. It's as an additive to a meal where it might not be satisfactory, in my opinion. But I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, the glucose taste, the sweetness of it is something like quarter of sugar. So yeah, it would give you some bump, but in the context of a meal, it's not going to blunt fat loss or do anything of negative impact, really.
No, that's right. I mean, especially if you're on like a strict carnivore diet, I mean, you get gluconeogenesis from your amino acids and fat and some fats as well. But it's still like a baseline insulin hit basically compared to like carbohydrates or anything like that. So I wouldn't worry anything about that sort of stuff. Yeah. But so talking about that, you're telling me, like, is that your post-workout shake, is it?
Yeah, so it's more of a ritual thing. It's I always get a lot of kickback for having dairy and stuff. I'm like, I've got pastoral genes. I've tried omitting it before and I felt like death. So it's not something I'm gonna have. I'm not gonna not have something I find a benefit from. And I'm walking around right now with I've got nearly fully striated glutes. Like I've got lines across my bum where the muscle actually separates. So it's not like it's affected my body composition. Then again, the context is so important because I have a high energy expenditure burn rate, so to speak. So it's not going to have a significant impact in terms of like my results with things like that. Yeah, the glycine does interact with the taste strips in the mouth. He is right. So yeah, sweet things will trigger sense in your brain. Again, it's like the context of if you're having it with a mixed amino acid meal, I don't stress too much personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that sort of thing. I mean, like compared to like your average diet sort of thing, like or glucose intakes, I think there's nothing really to worry about. It's certainly not going to give you any sort of adverse sort of fat, storage sort of thing. So anyway, cool. All right. So I mean, how often? I mean, I know you're quite active. I mean, you've got a lot, like you said, you've got a high energy sort of outtake. How often would you take one of these shakes? Like, is it every day sort of thing, or twice a day, 3 times?
Yeah, so I seem to just default to doing it when I'm in contest prep. I don't know why. It's like a treat for me.
Yeah,
It keeps me on track. It doesn't impact my results negatively. So it's for me. I'm making basically 4 meals per day. First meal, third meal, actually every meal has meat in it. The second and fourth meal, I basically have half of a carnivore ice cream shake sort of thing that I make, just because I enjoy it really. So there's things like gelatin in it I use, whey protein powder, raw eggs sometimes, raw milk, uh, yogurt, stuff like that.
yeah,
But yeah, I find it useful. It seems to help. So
yeah. I was curious because I think like I think whey protein shakes are actually quite addictive. I found
oh yeah,
myself that it was very much so. Like, it was really tough for me to give that up. Actually, it was one of the toughest things for me to give up. You know,
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, what I say this as if like it's something people should be doing. Some people can use it and leverage it to their benefit. Most people probably can't. My protein intake's 370 grams per day, so
yeah,
it's by default it has to be that much. I mean, I can get that through meat, but my jaw will get quite fed up. So I'm at the point now where I'm actually using it as its true purpose as a supplement to supplement my diet because I can't get enough in through meat, and the meat's actually I think I worked it out, it's about 3 to 4 times more expensive than whey protein in terms of like the protein content. Yeah, it
yeah.
doesn't
Especially
have
if
as
you take
much
it that
potassium,
much.
but
Yeah. Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of meat to eat every day. To get that many, like nearly 400 grams in just proteins, that's a lot of
mm,
meat. So yeah, I mean, you can leverage it and you can use it. I know, but some people I know, like they, 4 or 5 times a day, they'll drink, protein powders, which is just far too much.
I'd agree.
But
Mm,
yeah, and I mean, I was even just one a day I thought it was really difficult to give up actually because like you said, it's like a treat, it's a protein treat, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It was
yeah,
a struggle that one. Yeah. So I mean, even the best pro. I mean, like you said, they can be useful, and you can leverage them. And like you said, you can also mitigate sort of any sort of harms that you get from like the flavorings and the sweeteners and things like that. I mean, if the rest of your diet's clean, you really got nothing too much to worry about. But I still found that quite difficult to give up, you know.
yeah,
And even now, like I think like it wouldn't be bad as a treat. And you make carnivore ice cream and things like that as well. It's pretty cool. So
yeah. I, I just enjoy it. That's
yeah,
mostly it. You know.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, you got to have something to enjoy in life, don't you?
Sorry,
So,
I've got to go. I've got a call. Sorry, bear with me.
you're right, man. You're right. Yeah. So that's interesting take on like I said, protein powders they can be useful, can be good. I don't think you need to put. Um, I think you should put too much stock into it though, because you do tend to you do get an insulin response, and I think that you can also get you know depending on how hard you're working as well, how much you're putting out and so on. But yeah, and of course, if you can't get enough from your food, then as a supplement and mixed with that, I think that honestly, the best protein shake you can make is just raw eggs. You know, maybe not too many whites, but a lot of yolks. Yeah, I think that's the best protein shake. You could just drink eggs, and eggs are fantastic as long as you get a good source of eggs as well. So I don't do well on whey, leaves me feeling ill. Yeah, some people don't react to it very well. You got casein as well, so some people react to that stuff. Plus, there's not. I don't think there's any real clean, whey proteins out there because or any other protein powder sort of form. But because they're ultra processed for one, and they're processed with heat, so there's really, how much benefit are you getting from them, really? And the amount of chemicals that they're treated, flavored with, and colored with, and all sorts of other things, like, are they really going to work for you? So these are things you need to weigh up. But I find I can drink down raw egg yolks. Oh, that's good. Warm water. So I figure out, yeah, I think eggs are a great protein source and a great protein drink. The mouth also has insulin and IGF-1, in the mouth. So, hey, hello, Graham. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Wait. I must first do something because doesn't sound right to me. I might be echoing somewhere along the line.
Okay, no worries. I'm just going to read this from Harry. So the mouth also has insulin and IGF-1 in the mouth. So the signaling and response depends on whether the food is sugar or protein. Yeah. So if it's protein, like glycine, it will signal for a different level. There you go. Thanks, Harry. Yeah. So, yeah, again, it's always better to get a food source, I think. And like I said, I think, like whey protein or protein powders are quite addictive. I had a very difficult time sort of giving up on that stuff. That was probably one of the most difficult things, actually, just as difficult, probably more so than ice cream or anything like that, actually. So, these are things you need to weigh up. I mean, and what your goals are and all sorts of things. You can experiment with these things anyway. So you can mitigate, of course. But, I think at the end of the day, I would rather drink eggs than start protein powders again. You can get, and there are some so-called, I mean, there's always different levels of these protein powders out there, like even egg white protein and things like that. But again, doesn't matter which one you get; they're all heavily processed, flavored, and sweetened. Whether they have seed oils in them or not, most of them do. Okay, 99% of them do. It's not just the seed oils you need to worry about. Or you also have some have like xanthan gum and guar gum and things like that in them as well. They all have thickeners and all sorts of other things in them. So honestly, I would stay away from them myself. And general public wise, they're not really worth it. You spend a fair bit of money, and I'm not really convinced that they really help put on weight either. Like when it comes to muscle, anyway. I drink diluted coffee all day, 1 teaspoon to 2 cups of water. What is your opinion on vanilla flavored coffee? Well, coffee in general, I don't drink coffee anymore because anything like plant-based or plant materials processed with heat produce what is it called? I forget what it's called, but it directly acrylamide, and directly affects your thyroid function. So I don't drink coffee at all. And any kind of flavoring, like vanilla flavoring. I did actually a video on this last year. Actually, there was news reports came out that when it comes to these flavorings, a lot of these flavorings that they're fake flavor, like even vanilla essence, like 99% of everything out there that claims to be vanilla essence is a chemical process to taste like vanilla, but there's actually no vanilla essence in it. And a lot of these processed sort of flavorings are all petroleum-based sort of chemicals as well. So these are not things that I drink. So, but I'm not going to say like don't do it. It's totally up to you. If it doesn't affect you, then it's all good. It's up to you. But I very much steer clear of that stuff. How about you, Graham? You got any opinion on that?
I didn't listen to you now. Sorry for that. I was more distracted to what's happening in the background. Sorry.
All right,
Sorry.
All right, that's all right. So, what do you think about coffee and vanilla flavored coffee?
When it comes to coffee, I have only one opinion, and that is not to drink coffee.
Yeah.
Right, but it's the general drink. I myself tend to go back to coffee, drink coffee. Whether it's diluted, it still has the same effect. So it doesn't help. Is whether if it's flavored, yes, it will take you back to let me rather say sugary treats, stuff like that. So nah.
Yeah.
I would say coffee. Nah. No.
Yeah, especially flavored. Yeah.
Yeah, flavored will take you back to that sugary stuff.
Yeah.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, you're right.
Yeah.
Apologies for that. I just had a call from my GP. That was all. But yeah, Carol.
Oh, you're right. Everything good?
Yeah. I've got new symptoms basically. So I've got a giant laceration wound and bruise and looks like a skin defect birthmark on my glutes.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you a picture later.
On your glutes? What have you been doing?
It's It's I think it's a nerve thing. So when you've got CRPS, it affects your nerve system. So it means the superficial area of your skin gets a bit funny. So I've got it looks like a birthmark, a laceration, and a bruise all in one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't sound pleasant. Yeah. Well, I hope it works out, mate.
Cheers. Yeah. What was this about coffee?
A diluted cup of coffee with vanilla flavoring. What do you think?
They use usually things like glycerin or some kind of glycerol in the coffee to make it flavored with vanilla essence, vanilla extract. I would say it's probably quite innocuous in the grand scheme of things. However, if someone is having it and it's making them drink 20 cups of coffee a day, maybe not a good idea. But if you're, saying
you said to drink it all day.
Yeah, not a great idea personally.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not. But it might be doing nothing to him. But I can't speak on his health situation, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, generally speaking, that's not a good idea. I'm not going to say like you may be fine with it at the moment, but who knows? But these are the reasons why I don't drink it anyway. And a lot of these flavorings, especially like things like the vanilla, so they're all fake, petroleum-based sort of chemicals and so on. But coffee in general, even a clean cup of coffee, like the cleanest coffee you can get, like ground beans and so on, is still going to make acrylamide and things like that as well. So I would avoid it. I do avoid it. Yeah. Trust Harry. Yeah, Harry's amazing. His knowledge. So,
yeah.
The best amino acids protein you can take for health and longevity are amino pro from Professional Dietetics. If you train hard in the gym, go for their Big Evolution Pro 600. I can't say I know that. Rand, what do you think? Jonathan, do you know that one?
Amino from. Yeah, I looked at that. Dr. Abs mentioned that to me. No,
not big on that one.
I wouldn't invest the money personally. I mean, I don't know what his experience has been, but it's not. I don't think it's going to give you any additive benefit once you consume these amino acids. they turn into whatever they're going to turn into in terms of skeletal muscle tissue, skin, smooth muscle. It's going to do what it's going to do. It's almost the same as eating protein powder, but without the flavoring.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, honestly, like, you have a look, like, over the last 30 years or so, like, anything that's really proven to actually build muscle, honestly, the list is pretty damn short, and I think a lot of it's just like I think it's like a placebo effect as well, some of it, because it's just like you find a new brand, oh, this is really popular sort of thing, you think, oh, you're going to chug it down and, hit the gym hard and you feel better and you think it's working sort of thing. But honestly, I've never seen anything that has actually proven itself.
I've got one thing to add, which will probably be helpful to people listening to this that might be in the sports performance kind of arena. When I invest my money into supplements, I use a lot, but I use them for recovery, because if you sleep better, you'll perform better. So get to the root cause of the problem. If you train fine, it's not that you need to amplify your training, it's that you probably need to recover better so you can continue to adapt your training. So get to the root cause of the problem. So if sleep's your issue, well, cheap amino acid glycine might be helpful. I'd favour that over some sort of concoction of amino acids, which largely won't do anything. The clinical studies in it are trash, from what I read. So
yeah, I think some of the cheapest stuff, like creatine monohydrate, I think they're a safer bet as well. Like, and they're very effective. Well, I mean, like, to a certain point, but you're right. Like, recovery is the biggest thing. I think most people's problems is they're under recovery, and as long as you're getting your recovery in, honestly, like I said, they can help you recover and sleep a bit. Like, if you take a protein shake, if you're hungry, sort of thing, and sort of fill you up, and you'll sleep better maybe. But that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Do you use anything like tallow soaps and perspirants and any specific toothpaste? How about you, Graham?
I think I say it all. No.
How about you, Jonathan? Do you use tallow soaps or anything like
that? This is my pot here. So I apply this twice per day, because when you get lean, you tend to get very dry skin. It's beef fat. It's just beef tallow from a pot into this pot. It's like, I mean, this pot's worth in this country would cost you about £1, like $1.20. This will last me about 2 months. This pot. So yeah, I mean, I don't even brush my teeth. I haven't for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
I use hand wash. But
okay.
That's it. Like, I don't shower gel. No. Yeah. Tallow that I've got there, and hand wash, which is usually organic, sort of natural stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a good. I think that's a good thing too, because I spoke about this a little while ago too. We're talking about clothes as well, like polyester clothes and things like that. Whatever we touch, we absorb up to 60% off, right? So I think it's really important that you think about what you actually come into contact with. So, like, even like dish soap and things like that, these chemicals you're absorbing while you're doing these things and washing your hands and so on. I use tallow soaps in the shower, and hand soaps, and I do brush my teeth, but maybe twice a week. But I use a fluoride free, either like there's a good brand here in Australia that doesn't use fluoride. So I either use that, or I can coconut oil is another good one. Or even tallow, brush your teeth with tallow as well is also good. So those are sort of things that I like to use, because again, you do absorb these chemicals through your skin, and whatever comes in contact with your mouth and things like that as well. Also, I mean, like I'm pretty lucky at the moment where I am. The water that I use is all rainwater. It's all collected from the roof. We have big tanks, and it's filtered. So it's pretty good water as well. So these are things that I think about. And I think it's not just about food. Like it's just one part of it. It's a big part, but these things help as well. Especially if you're. It's certainly going to speed up the process of recovering. Whether you're recovering, recovery wise, whether you're talking about sports recovery or illness, these sorts of things. If you take these things into account, it does speed things up, quite a bit. So I think it's worth people taking that extra mile to do these things. It's the ratio of amino acids, the ratio that depends on what they will do in the body. Data on this ration is overwhelming. What do you think, then, Jonathan? You think that's overwhelming?
I'm going to address it to myself because otherwise I'm just a guy shaking his head saying, no, you're wrong. It's a bit rude. I don't want to be rude. But yeah, I understand what Rob's saying. So what this information comes from is the idea that, for example, an animal versus a plant protein. So we look at something called a DS score. It's a digestibility index of amino score something. I can't remember. DIASS or DIAAS. So what they find is they work it out based on that. So it's an indices of what amino acids do within the body. But we're not looking to see what they do within the body. We're looking how that translates to muscle growth, tissue repair, cellular health, things like that. And if we look at protein studies between, say, people aren't going to like me saying this because it's almost anti-carnivore, but it's the truth. It's what the science says. If you have, say, a standard Western diet, 70 grams of protein per day. 72. A standard Western plant-based diet is about 70 grams per day. This is averages based on US data as of the last time I checked, which is about 5 to 10 years ago. What they find is there's no difference in muscle mass accrual. So it's all good saying, this stimulates mTOR, this stimulates this protein synthesis pathway. The reality is, what does that translate to long term? How does that affect the goals that you're trying to achieve? And they say it does sod all, nothing. But the limitation with the plant proteins is the associated nutritional profiles that you find. So anti-nutrients, the excess fiber, all the stuff we don't like having basically in a carnivore way of eating. So people look at these indices, these sideways metrics, and say, this does that, changes this number. How does that translate to what your body does with it physically or in a statistical piece of data? We don't see a difference really. But when we can extrapolate from that long term, so we're looking at elite athletes who might look at this a bit closer. Is a plant-based diet going to be better than a carnivore diet? Probably not. But it's not because of the amino acids, because of the associated vitamins, minerals within it that you can or cannot absorb. So we're looking at endpoints of data. So I'll give you another example here because we're talking about sports performance. Sorry, I'm rambling here, but people talk about beta-alanine, so an endurance supplement used to buffer lactic acid. Does it do that? Yeah. Does that translate after 12 weeks in clinical trials to beneficial physique, body composition outcomes? No. So that's why it's not on my list of a few supplements that I find helpful. So the ones that I do find helpful, I've got a video somewhere, I don't know where it is, but it's something like, I don't know, my top 5 supplements, something like bodybuilding, I don't know. Basically what it comes down to is the same things we always talk about. So taurine, creatine, I think leucine was in there, and citrulline. Basic amino acids that we know do some stuff. So that's what my kind of opinion on it is. But the idea that we're going to take in a certain array of amino acids, a certain specific composition is bullshit. Meaning, even if we look, we're looking at the wrong measurement here. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think leucine as well, like helps absolutely to absorb other amino acids too. So if you're going to supplement, like that would be one of them to help you with everything else, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's better, cheaper products out there. I investigated this myself, and I was like, I'm not wasting money on this crap. Even if it gave me 1% benefit, it's a waste of money, Rob. Save your money, please.
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing what Dr. Abs is saying, as in maybe he has got benefit, but the studies do not confute the idea that you're going to get a benefit beyond anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's got this is something you got to do, and it's like the fitness industry is so full of shit. Honestly, like you have to do you have to weigh up, benefit the cost sort of stuff as well, because these things just, I mean, these things are popping up every day. But honestly, like how much benefit you're going to get out of them, it's bullshit. So,
yeah, I think he said something about him showing the data, and the thing is, can you understand the data? Can you perform the statistical analysis yourself? I don't know personally, but probably not. So it's like, it's all good someone showing these graphs on a screen says, look how great this is, Does that translate to what you're trying to achieve? No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And this stuff, it's the same with everything. Like when it comes to nutritional studies, they're always studying like one outcome, like one effect outcome from one product and one outcome sort of thing. It doesn't take into effect like all the other processes in the body that sort of, it's just, I just don't.
I've spent thousands on this crap.
Yeah, me too.
And,
over the
even
last
like the testosterone
decades, I've
boosters.
spent so much money. I could have bought a bloody house. It's ridiculous how much money you waste on this shit. Honestly, it really is. And what benefit do you get in the end? Honestly, nothing really. Very little.
I mean, I use a lot of supplements, and people, because I've got a complex array of needs.
Yeah.
My disorder is called complex regional pain syndrome. It doesn't mean I'm just trying to target pain. I'm trying to target every single element of my symptomology. So I'll use something, I'll plug it and say, 1, can I afford it? 2, how long am I using it for? 3, what kind of metrics am I looking at to measure if it's effective or not, subjective or objective? Is it 4? Can I use this long term sustainably so I get the benefit, or is it going to have a wear off effect? So you have to think, if you're spending I don't know how much it costs, but versus even like an essential amino acid powder, if you're bedridden, you can't eat because you've got cachexia. Yeah, maybe that's useful, but just have a protein shake if you tolerate it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. What do you think of beef protein isolate over whey? And does Jonathan mind giving us a quick breakdown on meals and supplements he thinks are good for pre-workout and general health and recovery?
Ooh, would you believe it, DC? I've got a video on this, exactly this. It's one of my most popular videos. I think it's something like which protein powder is best on carnivore. It's got about 6,000-7,000 views. There's a picture of me with like that on the thumbnail. I found if you can tolerate it, whey is superior because it has more leucine, and quite a bit more. Not just like a bit. I mean like double, something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's usually 2 times high, at least double. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine as well the beef protein isolate. There's a lot of issues with. I mean, maybe this is more of an international problem, but there's a lot of problems with it being spiked. As in, they'll use different collagen powders and the cheaper version of it. So it'll say beef protein, but that's quite a vague term. Is that hydrolysate?
Right.
Is that collagen? Is that a broth? And I've actually I'm privy to know someone called Rachel Downs. So she lives not too far from me, maybe 20 miles down the road, and she owns a bone broth company. And she actually looked at some of these things. She's like, well, a lot of these things don't meet the label claims. They say beef protein, but they're actually using some knockoff collagen from someone else. Or
one thing you can guarantee is that it doesn't matter what product it is. It doesn't matter how much it costs, whether it's expensive or cheap. They will use the cheapest products, the cheapest ingredients they can find to up their profit margin. It doesn't matter what brand it is. They will all do that. They will get the cheapest source they can, every time.
Yeah. It's swings and roundabouts, all these things. I mean, Harry taught me a couple of years ago about the deuterium content of these different foods, like different, supplemental foods. The more it's processed, the more isolated it is, the more it's been powdered, packaged, put into drums, mixed, flavored, processed
Yeah.
artificial stuff, the more deuterium will have in it because it's been under more processes. So it refines the deuterium content. So it's probably going to be pro-inflammatory down the line. Shall I go over the supplements?
Another thing is like you buy these proteins, protein powders and things like that. They always come in a plastic tub. How long have they been sitting in a warehouse, unrefrigerated, in these plastic tubs? How many PFAs are going to be in this? Like anything stored in plastic, it's going to shed PFAs into the food. So these are other things you need to take into account as well. It's not just the fact that these are ultra processed with sweeteners, fillers, and like things like xanthan gum and things like that. Then you got most of them got seed oils in them as well, and then you've got their flavorings and colorings and all this sort of crap that goes in them. So what are you really? I mean, what are you benefiting from?
Yeah, I'd agree. He's asking about meals.
Meals.
I'm pre-contest, and the context of what I'm about to say is probably not relevant to anyone. First meal is usually beef or salmon with cheese. Second meal, usually a bone broth as well. Second meal was usually half of that carnivore ice cream slushy thing. Now I usually have a beef burger or two of that, or beef brisket, some cheese. Third meal, a bigger meat portion, so that's usually my biggest meat portion. That usually be a bit leaner just because it will digest quicker, which is odd, but it's the way I need to get food in basically. So I've just defaulted to eating meal three is typically leaner, so it's beef brisket, beef burgers, a little bit of cheese. Then my fourth meal is usually beef or beef burgers with cheese with the rest of that carnivore ice cream thing. That's largely it. It's nothing too magical. Pre-workouts, like I said before, taurine, creatine, citrulline. Some of them don't really matter when you take them. It's more about getting them in, like creatine. There's studies and saying, if you have it with carbs or post-workout, you get more absorption. It's like your body's going to absorb so much anyway. Whether it absorbs it now or tomorrow doesn't make a difference. It's a resource. Your body's going to take it in or not. I would just be careful if you're dosing it high for the cognitive benefit. So people now are taking it sometimes 10 to 20 grams. I'd preferably split it up if at all possible, just to avoid sort of any excess gastric distress. That's largely what I'd say for that. And recovery, there are some herbal extracts which are useful. Ashwagandha seems to be very promising. If you've got leaky gut, maybe avoid it. But if your sleep quality is the biggest problem that you have, that's something to certainly look at alongside or after magnesium bisglycinate, things like that.
What do you think about like mTOR spiking, like Richard Smith does 4 times a day? You do a fasted workout, then 4 hours later, and eat 4 hours between, like apart. So, if you train at 7 o'clock in the morning, eat at 11 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock.
That's a good question. Yeah, so we actually talked about this, discussed it on, I believe it's a Sunday live stream a few days back, nearly a week back. And I sort of said, well, okay, yeah, studies show, DC, and we can stimulate muscle protein synthesis 4 to 5 times a day. My question is, how much do we need to reach that? And does that amplification change with people with different levels of muscle mass? And is that individual to people's genetics? And at what point does that muscle protein synthesis spike in terms of going from 3 to 4 to 5 to even 6, some people actually confer a benefit? Now, if you're having 6 meals per day to get that spike, but you're not sleeping very well, what's the point? You're chasing the wrong metric because you're losing sight of what the objective market is, which is getting enough protein to build the tissue, then to sleep, to recover. So think of it as like a whole mirage, like my supplement plan I mentioned earlier. So I went for a step-by-step phase of how I address each point. What does it impact? What doesn't impact? Is the net benefit going to improve something for me or not? So that's kind of my take on it. But I think for me, 4 times a day is about right for my protein intake, and I think it should be scaled based on your intake. So Eddie Hall, for example, if he was doing a proper carnivore diet, not whatever he's doing right now, 5 to 6 meals per day, maybe he could benefit from that because he needs that much food. Now UDC, you're active, maybe a bit lighter than me, maybe 3 meals a day, maybe 2. Then a young woman I work with, maybe 1, maybe 2. That's kind of my sense on it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's all going to come down to, I mean, I think it's a good like general structure, but I think you still have to play around with it and what's going to suit, what's going to fit you. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, you always need to play around with these metrics, and just because it's not all about one thing, one metric either. It's, like you said, you have to have like a full scope on things. Like at the moment, I'm 2 meals a day on average. That does flip and flop a bit, but next week I'm going to start doing. I'm going to be a lot more. Start a new program. I'm going to be a lot more active, so I'm going to probably increase that to 3, maybe even 4 meals. So just depends on how I feel, of course. But I'm going to start increasing the intake. So
I mean, like people I work with and coach, DC, it's based on where they're at right now. Where do they want to go, and what they're doing right now? Does it work or not? Does it work? Right. That's the question. Does it work? So forget what theoretically might work. Is what you're doing right now conferring benefit or not?
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to know until you try it, though. And and when I say try it, like I'm just saying, like, try it for at least 2 months. Don't try it for a week and say no, it doesn't work. Try it for 2 months. If you feel stronger, if you feel better, if you feel like you feel comfortable doing that way, then it's working. If not, it's not working, is it? Simple. It's not that hard, really. Let's say you've all accepted a challenge to make the best carnivore ice cream. How would you go about it? You've got a good recipe for carnivore ice cream, Jonathan. So how would you go?
Yes. Thanks for the question, Joseph. It's a good one. I have a recipe in my ebook, Carnivore Beef Up Bodybuilding Bible. And it pretty much closely matches what I've got on my YouTube channel, which is something like best carnivore ice cream ever, something like that. There's a million ways to make it, but I find that it's based on people's tolerability. So if you do Dr. Kiltz's recipe, that'll be primarily eggs, maybe a bit of maybe some vanilla essence, some salt, something like that. Maybe a bit of dairy. Mine's more dairy heavy, so I'm bigger on dairy because I can tolerate it quite well. So it depends what you're trying to do. Now, to make the best flavored one, I would argue use the full fat, raw, heavy cream, thick, extra whipped, that sort of stuff. A few egg yolks probably just to give it a nice color. The egg white isn't very flavorful, particularly that nutritious. I'll chuck in some whey protein powder as well. And if you tolerate it and you enjoy it, some sweeteners, some vanilla essence if you like it. But these sort of things, I think these sort of things, if you're going to have it and it's meant to be a treat, start off and make it kind of like bland, so without all the stuff in it, the extra crap. If you don't enjoy it that much, it's not a treat. What's the point in having it? Just eat real food. So then I'd say if you're trying to make a treat, you've got a young child. But put a bit of liquid sweetener in it or something, a bit of extra salt or something, which is, going to help them gravitate towards a carnivore way of eating. And maybe they always have it, but it gives them a better option than what you're doing before. So it's always context specific.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, the best carnivore ice cream would be if, put a steak on a skewer and freeze it. That's about it. Have a steak ice block. But I mean, I have tried this myself. I have I've used a pot set Indian style yogurt. It's very clean. It's only, it is dairy, and you do have trouble with dairy now, but if it's just a treat, and I don't put any flavoring or anything like that. I put egg yolks. I'll put, let's say, if I make say 500 grams of Indian style pot set yogurt, it'll be, say, 4 to 5 egg yolks, just the yolks, okay, to thicken it up, and because Indian style pot set yogurt is not very thick at all. The egg yolks will thicken it up and give it some color, And if I'm going to flavor it, I'll flavor it with a whey protein powder, because that's, I mean, like I said, this is one of the things I had difficulty getting rid of, but and I haven't done this for a long time actually, but that's how I would make it. You know, that would be the only flavoring I would put into it. Like, and I always used like a chocolate whey protein powder, and that was all I would use to flavor it. So that's how I would make it.
But, yeah, if I sorry DC, if I pop off for a second, I'll leave my stuff on, but I've got to get parcels and things this morning. But my GP appointment's gone through, so I should be able to stay for like an hour probably.
Right,
however long we need to, get the job done.
Yeah, that's cool, man. All right. We just live call on this with Dr. Ads, and he showed all the data. Okay. Ads is a great guy. He's always got some good stuff there. So, hello, Eileen. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Again, I mean, it doesn't matter what you are doing. If you're on the carnivore diet, these are the things you're always going to have to work out metrics that work for you, work best for you, right? And it's more than just food as well. Like we were talking about early on, there are things that you can do to help you with your recovery, and especially if you're, it doesn't matter if you're coming from illness or just if you're trying to improve your performance. Okay, there are great tips that you can do for many different things to help sort of recovery and performance, either health performance, health recovery, or sport performance. Okay. Grounding is one thing. Grounding, I think, is important for everyone. Okay. It also helps to recharge your mitochondria, but it actually has a measurable difference in your blood cell production. Okay, because it stimulates your bone marrow to produce more blood cells. All right, and I've spoken about this before. There are plenty of videos I've done on this, but then of course you got sunlight, and another thing is that vitamin D. Okay, D3 is not really a vitamin, but it's a hormone. It's also, apart from being part of your immune system, help you recover more and things like that, it's also a pre-hormone. It's not just you go out in the sun, you stimulate D3 production that comes out in your skin and helps you with sun cream cover and all that sort of stuff. But it's also a pre-hormone for testosterone. All right, so you go out in the sun, you start producing D3, and that also boosts your testosterone production as well. Other things that are going to stimulate this is things like breath work, low oxygen tension. Okay, low oxygen tension, you start producing HIFs, which stimulate the kidneys to produce EPO. Now, EPO will stimulate your bone marrow to produce more blood cells. More blood cells means more oxygen to your cells, right? And you also build more CO2 tolerance. Okay. And CO2 is vital for your blood system. It's not just about breathing it out and things like that, but it actually is like a connector on your red blood cells, and it actually carries the oxygen molecule to each cell, and it's like it's like how would you say it? Anyway, it just determines how long it carries it for and where to take it and get it into your cells and that sort of stuff. Transporter, that's it. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, transporter. So the low oxygen tension is really good for that, and also very good for recovery. All right, because the same process, it's the same process happening. And it also is when you lose weight, if you ever wonder where all that fat goes, you don't just sort of flush it down the toilet, right? Every 10 kilos of body fat, you breathe it out. Okay, every 10 kilos of body fat, 8.4 of those kilos you actually breathe out. It's carried with the CO2. Okay, that's the mass that comes out. All right. So if you do low oxygen tension, breath work, that sort of thing, you can actually speed up fat loss, for one. You can speed up hormone production, okay? Things like the EPO, okay? And it also will help you to produce, and especially if you're going to do this outside and grounding and in the sunlight, it's going to produce more D3 and more testosterone as well. These are measurable differences that you can use to lose fat faster, build muscle faster, and increase your sport performance, and also aid recovery from illness or from workouts and things like that. These are things that really do make a big difference. So, what you got going on there? Oh, that's your ceiling. I thought it was a door.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, honestly, DC, that was the best and most simple yet detailed explanation of testosterone, skin, tanning, hormones, vitamin D, breath work, fat loss I've heard long. You should make a short out of that because that made complete sense. I understood it
Maybe
easily.
I will.
So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is my medication. So thanks to anyone that has recently, like yourself, bought ebooks, purchased my services, joined my channel as a member. I'm able to afford some of my medication now, which helps a lot.
That's good.
Means my life well-being is a bit better. So anyone that's curious, yes, it does get actually spent. You might be able to see my name on it. So, but yeah, it's prescription grade, as you can see. So
yeah. Oh, that's good, man. It's good to see. Yeah. Anyone who actually, I've got to recommend like Jonathan's ebook. What's it called?
Beef Up.
Beef Up. That's right. It's a brilliant book. It's probably one of the biggest, most detailed ebooks I've ever seen, actually. So it's only what, $12 US.
It's even less now. It's like $9, I think, US dollars.
$9. Okay, so like $9 US. I mean, go check it out, guys. Go buy it because honestly, it is great value. You're going to get something out of it, all right? And it helps him out. It helps him, to buy medications. Anything to help his life get a bit easier. It's well worth it. And think what you're going to get out of it as well. All these questions that you have for him right now are answered in his books, all right, in his ebook. So go check it out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it is detailed, like you say. It's not some. People make ebooks. They make like a 20-page thing, just a load of pictures and graphics, but not much information. The information's all in there. It's got a context page. You know exactly where you're going. These amount of pages for training. These are books. These are supplements. There's a few testimonial pages in like 5 pages, but it's filled out. It's not a book with generic information. It explains the Randall cycle, test on permeability, a lot of mechanisms around the carnivore diet, how to start, how to train, with explicit detail. It's not you're not going to buy it and think, oh, I can just Google this on YouTube or no, it's all in there. And I'm glad and proud that I made it, and I'm glad people like yourself have bought it because it puts things in a different light. Because then maybe there's a different way of explaining it than what you hear through a video sometimes. So yeah, I appreciate that.
No, it's right. You're right. I mean, when you can sit down and write these things out, it's much easier. You can explain a lot more than you can sitting in, just off the top of your head, try and think of all the processes, try and get through a video, So, it's definitely well worth, and I mean, the $10, whatever it is. I mean, it's less than it's about the same as a cup of coffee these days, right? So
Exactly,
honestly,
yes.
what are you missing out on? And it's like you said, like it's one of the. I mean, it's about 170 pages. Most ebooks are like 10 pages or less, and then half of that's just filled with pictures and so on. So, not many people put that much effort into an ebook. So I think it's well worth it. So go check it out.
It took me and my friend Jerome a long time to write. I dictated most of it, so some of it is how I'd speak. But I think it works,
Yeah. I mean, I've been reading it a bit as well, so I think it's really good. It's very detailed.
Cheers, yeah.
So it's good to see that people have been buying some of your products so you can get that medication. That's good to see.
Yeah,
So
my symptoms aren't well controlled, and my situation will only get worse. As in, people with my condition don't get better.
no, that's
It's
right.
not something you can like out supplement, out sleep. It's something which just gets worse. So basically, when I was diagnosed, it sort of said the way you have it, where you have it, as a male having it is very, very rare. It's like 1 in a million or something. So and there's not a lot of research around conditions because it's so niche. So these various types of cancers that people have, like very specific kind of things as well. It's not what I have, but it's basically a neurological pain disorder.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can't. If you look at my blood markers, they're very good for a bodybuilder. So there's not a hole I can patch up basically. So I'm reliant nowadays on medication. Otherwise, I'm screaming into this pillow behind me every single night. So I do appreciate anyone that wants to contribute, help me, and it means a lot.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, yeah, if you can help, Jonathan, honestly, like these, like you said, this condition, there's no getting better. There's no, easing off sort of thing. If you, I mean, in my circumstance, like it was, well, basically it was the same as you tell me it's only going to get worse from here, sort of thing. But I've been lucky. I've been very lucky. I've managed to
You put in the
get
work,
to
DC. You put in the work, DC.
yeah. Well, that's right. I
You've
mean,
done what's
I did.
necessary.
Yeah, I've done what I had to do. And but it's a different thing. It's very different to what you're going through. Like it's not like like I could actually attack what was happening to me. I could really attack it. I don't know. It's very different for you. I think I'm not so sure you could really attack that in any way.
Yeah. It's within my nerves. It's built into me now. It's not.
Yeah.
It's if I sort of said it, it's the most painful condition in medical history.
Yeah.
And I can keep pain with that medication at about an 8, which is hard.
Yeah.
But I just grit my teeth. There's not a way out of it. It's basically, if I described it in a very simple toddler kind of sense, it's a misfiring of nerves. I can't have the nerve severed, cut out, taken out of my body. It does affect limb to limb to limb. So right now, mostly my right lower half and for my glutes as well. It's dreadful. But the thing is, it can spread to limb because it's almost like you have a physiological problem, as in the nerves misfire, so the pain is exaggerated. So I sat on a bus with a lady recently, like an 80-year-old lady, just tapped me on the side of the leg. I thought she shot me in the leg, and I was looking in my own eyes at her thigh, tapped my thigh, and I thought I was going to die. It's absurd, and I'm like, this isn't in my head because I just watched this lady. It's not made up, It's the symptoms become more visible now, so I'm getting skin discoloration, things like that. And I've had obviously 2. You can see here 2. That's my most recent surgery.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
So they're not much fun. But, that's a different thing. But now I'm getting discoloration in this hand. You might be able to tell in the camera. But
Yeah, we can tell.
this hand is significantly more purple than the hand that's holding the phone. So I'm kind of anticipating it getting worse. But that's why I'm trying to set up YouTube, build up a residual income. I'm using AI as a means to still make my content. So it's not ideal. I want to speak to camera. I want to see people like you, and I want to collaborate with people. But if I can't sit at the desk that's at the end of my bed here, so I'm going to quickly swing around. It's a physical impossibility. I have 2 ergonomic chairs over there, which are built for disabled people. I can't sit in them. So I'm sat here, you're making these videos, and that's the best I can offer people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people wouldn't even be doing that, mate. So I think you're a real trooper. It's just think about your situation though. It's still remarkable to me just how much we don't know about the human body. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the human body. It's crazy.
It's so true, yeah.
Right. So
it's like the gut microbiome stuff, the brain stuff. It's like someone comes to you, it's like, oh, I don't feel well, I feel depressed. It's like, that could be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
anything. It could be,
That could be a
you
million
know, the
different
recent
things.
events, anything.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Could be that. Yeah, and yeah, and very vague sort of things too. You're like, oh, I feel like this, or just sort of like, well, shit, what do you want me to say? Try this. I don't know, but yeah, I really feel for you, man. I think it's. I mean, I did when I was younger. When I was 22, I fractured 7 of my vertebrae, just the lower part of my neck and down top of my spine. Surfing. I did a hyperextension over the back, and I fractured I fractured 7 vertebrae, and my back, my entire back, my shoulders, everything just spasmed. And I was in rehab for nearly 2 years for that. And I know what you mean. Like someone just touched me on the shoulder. It felt like they'd just hit me with a baseball bat or something. It was really painful, very painful. So
I've got a lot of admiration, respect for people like you, Andrew Scarborough. We've had this story sort of thing. You guys collaborated. So I usually gravitate towards people that have a lot of empathy, because maybe they don't have what I have, but they have an idea of what it's like to sort of anticipate not knowing. That's where a lot of the fear comes. So when I leave the house each day, I'm gonna go out shortly. Getting a bus now is hard, so I try and get Ubers where I can. If I get an Uber, I write a message to say, "Please drive carefully. I've got a severe pain condition." They think they're Mario driving around roundabouts, and
yeah,
and I'm like, I have to bear with this, and I'm like, I'd love to be able to drive myself, but it's just an impossibility now. So it's we can only do what we can do, and I sort of value this sort of time and understanding people like yourself have, and I hope for as long as I can collaborate with people like you, and just good people that put out a good message.
Yeah. Well, we're all trying. You're all trying. But yeah, I know what you think. I mean, I don't know the pain you're going through. I mean, I've been through pain. I know what pain is like, but to have it for the rest of your life, you're facing that. It really sucks. But like doctors were telling me that this is as good as it's going to get. It's only going to get worse from here. Like it's only going to deteriorate. Like it's the same as diabetes and the rest of it. But basically, they tell you, or they told me that you're just going to need more and more treatments the rest of your life until your body can't take anymore, right? And it's quite painful, but yeah, it's I'm in a much better situation now. I feel great, actually. I really do feel for you though, because it's I don't know how you would fight that. I know how I fought mine. I know how I fought my cancer and things like that, but I don't know how you would fight that constant nerve pain.
It's there's a pain score called I mean, we're talking about pain a lot, but the thing is, if I don't say it, people can be like, "Oh, you're lazy making AI videos." It's still my information. I have to construct these videos, and it does cost me money.
Right.
Each one I'm making is costing me $20. It's not free. But the thing is, it's you kind of live each day and take it as it comes, and you kind of have that sense of urgency to still do as much as you can while you can. So I mean, one day, I mean, I was diagnosed with this condition in November. I thought, oh, probably a few years down the line, I might need a stick or a cane. Now I use a stick just to leave the house. Recently, I walked down to the end of the drive and I thought I was going to fall over because my head started spinning because I was so disorientated. Dysautonomia, allodynia, they're some of the 2 symptoms I experienced. So you can Google them if you don't really understand what they are, anyone watching this. But it's just a case of staying positive. So as much as it's the physical side, like the pain, I'm able to speak to people like you that have a good idea of what's going on. So it's having that outlet, be able to help other people understand, because my condition is so bloody rare. It's absurdly rare. So it's not recent. If I mean, if you went to YouTube right now and Googled it or whatever, you'd see a video by Dr. I think his name's Dr. Jetson or Jetson. He made a video like 10, 10, 15 years ago.
Jeez.
That's as good as it gets in terms of like, you know, as if you type in diabetes. Today's been 10,000 videos on diabetes. You know, you see what I mean? So it's I've had to do my due diligence to understand it. So I'm spending hours each day researching, trying to find ways to plug the gaps in my symptoms. But
cheers,
Thomas. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's
oh,
that's good. That's one thing I am familiar with too, is like not being able to walk, not being able to move. You know, like even when I did start walking again, you know, with a cane, you know, I fell over a few times, like trying to push myself, I guess. But you know, it's so frail. I would you know, injure myself and trying to walk and things like that. But you know, I couldn't afford a wheelchair at the time. You know, when I was in hospital and things like that, I was always in a wheelchair. But at home, I couldn't afford the wheelchair, and I didn't have space for it either. I was in a tiny little studio, so you know, I couldn't even walk 2 steps to the toilet. You know, like literally, my bed was 2 steps from the toilet and the kitchen in my little studio. I couldn't even do that. So yeah, I know what that feels like, and it's a beautiful feeling.
Every morning feels like I'm waking up from spine surgery. So before I even get out of this bed, I'm doing several biohacks.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane, but it's part of my practice and it's part of my life. So I think like this is an outlet for me. Like, it's really helpful just to speak to someone that kind of understands roughly what's going on. You know, if I'm down the gym, I'm doing it with my best intent, the best research I have, and approved from experts, you know, Bart K, people like that, training method, things like that. So I'm still trying to live a fulfilling content life. I'm not sat here laying on my laurels, being miserable.
See, that's incredible. Like, that in itself is incredible that you're still doing that, you know. And I think, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a positive mindset. You're still pushing yourself, and I think that, you know, if you didn't have that, you'd just go nuts, you know. So I think it's really good that you're doing that.
The autism's helped.
Yeah, I think so.
Oddly enough.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for it, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, there's really, I think there's real benefit to having to being the way you're thinking, like the autistic brain sort of thing. I'm ADHD, but I think if you were like a neurotypical brain, you would be miserable as guts. You probably wouldn't get out of bed, you know. So in that respect, I think it's probably a good thing, you know. You're really strict on yourself, so I think that's cool. But
yeah, that's absolutely it. Yeah, I mean, I'm as strict as I can be to manage my symptoms as best I can for that extra 1%. But you know, the sweeteners, the whey protein, the carnivore ice cream, I have to have some enjoyment. You know, Pepsi Max, for example, I enjoy that. So I have a measured approach. So, like you, DC, maybe there's the odd thing that you do sometimes. It's like, oh, sod it. But it doesn't mean you're a bad person for it. It means you're a human being. You know, you're fallible.
Yeah, that's
So it's,
I mean, everyone's human. Yeah, and we all have those times when we're tempted. You know, no one's perfect all the time. You know, so you can't expect that either. You just burn out. And that's the thing with when people get really fanatical about this stuff. When they get really dogmatic, they're so strict that eventually they just burn out and they say, "We'll sort it," and just, you know, go on a binge, you know, like they'll go for a week-long binge, and then all of a sudden they quit the diet completely, you know. So I think
I did that when I started. Did you do that when you? Obviously, your health situation when you sort of started was more critical, I imagine. So when you started up DC, were you like 90% there? Did you sort of transition? Did you every like weekend you had like, I don't know, bag of fries or something? I don't know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like when I first started, like just going a high-fat diet, I was still pretty much paralyzed in bed. Like I just couldn't move. It hurt too much to even hold a mug. Like I was so dried out. I looked like jerky, right? And even trying to grip something would hurt. Like, it was too painful. But and like at first I even had my wife feeding me. I couldn't even feed myself. Which really sucked. And
I know. I don't know, in that sense, but I've seen it firsthand. I live about a 4-minute walk opposite from the cancer ward. I volunteered there for 4.5 years, about 2 to 3 times per week. So I'm very familiar with the symptoms people go through in end of life care. So, I was feeding these people, and they sat there, vegetables. They can't do anything. And it's a shame.
And that's exactly
you want to
what
make
it
an
is.
impact.
It's end of life care. And that was pretty much where it was for me. It was end of life care for me. It was like, this is it, because like through the 3 years of chemotherapy, it just kept growing and kept getting worse, and at the end of the transplant is like the last resort. After that, there's nothing else that's going to help, right? But that left me basically like just a piece of jerky, lying stuck in bed, staring at the ceiling for the next couple of years. But when I first started, it was eating just high fat. Like I was just eating everything. I mean, we never were big on junk food that much anyway. So it was always, if we did eat things, it would be like my wife would make cookies or cakes and things like that for me, and then it was all homemade sort of stuff. I was still taking supplements, whey protein and creatine and things like that, which helped, I think, at the time. But that was when I started eating. I didn't really care about. I was eating a large amount of meat. I was eating the largest amount of meat that I had ever eaten in my entire life. Because I just didn't give a shit anymore. I'd rather the heart attack. But it just slowly, yeah, that's right. So like it just slowly progressed from there. And as I got better, I kept eating more meat as I could, because it actually took, before I could even eat a proper steak, right, it took me 6 months before I could even do that.
Wow.
Because I couldn't just sit down and eat a meal. So I would, like, even one steak took me hours to eat. Took me like 3 or 4 hours to eat. Right. So that all just took like a very long progression, and it wasn't until maybe 5 years after that I cleaned it up and got rid of, I stopped eating, I was eating less and less sort of cakes and cookies and breads and things like that my wife made. So it was it wasn't until I actually got back into the gym that I restricted the carbs. But at that time, I also felt like I had to restrict the fat more as well, and I sort of, but I could see that the difference in how I felt and my blood markers dropped when I started restricting the fat again, and that's when I started thinking, well, the fat has been the key sort of thing. That sort of took me down the new path then, but it took a long time, but I was never really dogmatic about it. It was always, I mean, if I've been good this week, yeah, sure. I'll get the wife to make some cookies for me, and that sort of thing. I think I've been more strict on it the last maybe 3 years. I've been a lot stricter on it, but even now, like, still, if I'm tempted, maybe I might, I don't know, have a cookie or something like that, but it's pretty rare. Like it's 3 or 4 months or so. But I'm not.
Sounds like me. Yeah. I'll do something every. When I get that sort of desire for nostalgia and novelty, and something I used to have with family or something someone made for me.
Yeah. You do get nostalgic about the food that you eat because you grow up with this food and you think, oh, it's a movie you liked when you were a kid, and you're like, oh yeah, sit and watch this movie. And think, oh, pizza would be great with this movie, or popcorn would be great with this movie. Same thing. So it's one of those habits that you need to get out of as well. Oh well, but we all do it. I mean, no one's perfect.
Yeah, that's good advice from this individual. I appreciate where it's coming from. Problem is, I have the nerve damage, but it's not just the nerve. I'm not trying to well, obviously it's better to have fully healed nerves than not. Problem is, it's a misfiring. So imagine you've got a circuit like a loop. So you got my brain's here. So my glute and my lower back's here. Where most people pain, okay, goes back and forth. Mine just stays in the same loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can regrow nerves, but it's in the same loop. It doesn't.
I wonder if that's kind of similar to the epilepsy. Like the misfiring of nerves.
In essence, somewhat similar. Yeah, I mean, it's more of a bodily thing. When I say bodily, it's more of a bodily thing related to my brain and where the issues are. Yeah, I think you're right in that. Yeah, there's some sort of signaling problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you're pretty good carnivore, so yeah, you would think it would probably help, but who knows?
It manages symptoms. I mean, like I went to a like a pain clinic group thing yesterday. So I got the bus into town. Great fun. Yeah, that was fun. But you sort of look at these people, and this doesn't sound disrespectful to them, or as if they've done it wrong. But they follow standard Western diet. Most of them were at least 4 or 5 stone overweight. And I look at it and think, okay, maybe if you lost weight, maybe that wouldn't improve your pain symptoms. That's fine. I know myself. I've been 125 kilos. I've been 91 kilos. Pain's the same either side, but the symptoms around my condition, so sleep, digestion, brain fog, that sort of stuff, are much worse when I'm at a heavier weight. So I think they could feel a bit better and have better well-being if they lost that weight. So it's
that's right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it might not change the pain, but it will help you manage it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think you can. It doesn't matter what your condition is. You can always manage it better when you're lighter. I mean, it depending on how much of that is body fat as well. Like I mean, the leaner you are, anyway, the fitter or healthier you are, you're going to manage your condition a lot better.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement. I think if someone's looking to optimize health overall in most states, being a bit lighter than a bit heavier is probably going to be optimal. It's like you, DC, you're lean, you're ripped, sort of thing. You're physically active. You're probably a specimen in terms of like managing your symptoms and anything that you've experienced because you're a slightly lighter body weight. You have enough mass and strength to give you that longevity benefit. So the way you're doing it, Andrew Scarborough, I think it's optimal. I don't think you could improve.
No,
personally.
No, it's right. No, it's just I stress that a lot to people. It doesn't matter. I mean, what situation you're in. Like, I'm not saying like carnivore diet's going to cure anything, but I mean, it's certainly helped me, but and a lot of other people. But it's still going to help you manage whatever your problem is. It's still going to improve things.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. It doesn't matter what situation. Any kind of improvement is going to help, right? Even if it's only 10%.
I track a lot.
Yeah.
I track my body from head to toe, brain to feet to sleep to digestion to bowel movements. Like if you went to my phone, you'd see an absurd amount of data. You'd be like, oh, "What do I need to know all this in case I miss something?" I hate the idea. That's why I come off a bit abrupt with people sometimes because I don't accept their advice. It's not because I don't appreciate that they're trying to help me. It's because it almost dismisses how much effort I'm putting in already. I'm attacking it from all angles. It's not, like I said, there's not a patch there's not a gap I can patch up really that I can afford. So
I think that's awesome. Like that, I mean, that was when I first talked to you about this about your routine. That just blew me away. Like that you just micromanage like every 15 minutes. I couldn't do that. I just
it
I've
would
got
drive you
ADHD
mental.
brain.
Yeah. with
Yeah.
ADHD, it's not a method for people like yourself. It's just not feasible. So
No, it's not feasible at all. But I think I really admire that actually. That's really cool.
appreciate that. Yeah,
I'd love to be able to do that myself. Yeah, just make you very productive, I think. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool actually. I also use a tropical ivermectin for cattle called Boron. I also have the injectable ivermectin. I'll add the EMS. Sorry. Like this is ivermectin is actually a great drug. I've on other channels, on other platforms, things where I talk more about politics and things like that. I've been showing people, ivermectin for the last 6 years, 7 years actually. There's been on the NIH website, there's like 300 different studies where they've been using ivermectin for different diseases, including conditions like mine. So, which I won't talk too much about because YouTube will get a little bit annoyed.
I'm familiar. Yeah, I've recommended that to the person we've discussed maybe a week ago.
Yeah. I think it's something people should, if you can access it. The problem is we can't access it in Australia at the moment. Our TGA, which is kind of like the American FDA, they banned it all of a sudden in 2018. So, we had some restrictions here. Okay, I have tried electrostimulating the vagus nerve. Have you tried electrostimulating the vagus nerve? I'm waiting for a new device to be approved by FDA for sale in the US. Maybe it can break that cycle. Oh, that's not a bad idea, actually.
It's a good idea, and that's what I'm wearing right now.
Oh, okay.
I told you guys I've done everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. I mean, stuff that you like, the stuff we probably discussed behind sort of closed doors. The lot. So I'm actually using this right now, and it's if I got gifted this as a trial just to see how it worked, just for my condition because it's unique sort of thing. $700.
Wow. Yeah, it's not cheap.
You see what I mean? So I'm trying the most expensive thing there is. Does it help? I'll give my honest opinion just because you did ask about it. And I'd say it gives a subtle difference. The only issue I have with it is it adds to my repertoire of rituals, which is, it's not hard. You plug it on, you wet your ear a little bit, so it gives you a bit of simulation. So people are wondering, this is like the console wire to my ear, the tragus part of your ear there, and to stimulate your vagus nerve. So you have amount of minutes on the screen. So it says 59 back to front. Then it also says the intensity level. And what's interesting is the intensity level I have to apply to get the same stimulation is different a lot of the time. So it's quite interesting. It means your body's always dynamic. It's not like, I use 25. Sometimes I'm using 15, sometimes I'm using 40. But yeah, it's something I am trialing, and I'd say it gives me some benefit day to day. It's a distraction, but it's not a fix. And you can't walk around with this in your ear all day. It gets annoying.
No, that's right. Yeah.
That's the limitation. So.
Yeah. There are other things you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve. Breath work is really good. The problem is when people are sleeping and if they're mouth breathing, their vagus nerve is always activated, and they always have that fight or flight sort of mode when they wake up. So they have like anxiety and things like that.
That's what the gum's for, DC.
Good.
Keeps my mouth closed.
Yeah, that's good.
Every angle.
Yeah. I think it's one of them. I use a strap at night. I actually strap my jaw shut to stop me from breathing with my mouth open. That might be why, and you get like different days to your vagus nerve will be like different levels. You might need to stimulate more. But like breath work is amazing for controlling your vagus nerve and central nervous system. So like also releasing nitric oxide is like that is like the superhero of circulation in your body. Yeah,
That's
if you
huge.
breathe, yeah. If you, for example, if you do like in one nostril, out the other, sort of breathing, and on the way out, breathing like slow breathing, like 5 seconds in, 6 seconds out, and hum. If you hum and you can feel that the resonating like in your sinuses, that's where you produce most of your nitric oxide. And that vibration, the frequency of the vibration will release up to 15 times more nitric oxide into your system. It's very effective, really effective. You do that for any up to 5 minutes is enough for a day. And I mean, nitric oxide is just awesome stuff. It does so many things for your body, and yeah, I'm not saying it's going to help your condition, but it certainly helps a lot of everyone else for many other things too. So
Yeah, I think like the Bart K and our sort of biohacks, the top 5 things we do, they do tend to help. I do actively do these things. People say it. I'm sat right now on a grounding mat. You can't see it, but it's underneath me. At lunchtime, I go out. I've already been out this morning to get some sun. At lunchtime, I go out and get some more sun. I go into town, get some more sun. So that's why I'm so dark. I'm actually significantly darker than what appears in the camera. But I am actively pursuing like the nitric oxide side of things. I think it does give you a lot. It kind of draws blood to the periphery, which seems to help. So I can't really speak on the mechanisms that much, but I feel better doing that. So
I mean, it's amazing if like nitric oxide in your blood system, in your brain. It just it's an incredible like, I don't know what you would call it. It's not really I suppose it's just a mechanism for your body, but it's brilliant stuff. Yeah, I'm the same. Like I've got a grounding mat under my feet right now, where I sit under my desk with a grounding mat. I've got a grounding mattress cover for sleeping at night, and like I spend half the day outside, in the garden feeding the animals, doing all sorts of stuff. I go down to the dam and just walk through the water, things like that. So it's, I think the like Buck cases, those 5 health hacks, or the 8 that I separate into, they really do make a big difference. They make a huge difference,
just got to do
just general health. Yeah, just got to do them. That's right. And it's not really a big time commitment though either. So half
it's
an hour
something you
a
should
day.
be doing anyway. Like what's going to be better for me is someone that's stuck in this room a lot of the day. Going outside and eating my carnivore ice cream, grounded, my bits out and all sorts, or sit in bed eating it, staring at a wall.
Yeah, that's
even if there was no science to say sunlight was good for you and grounding was good for you, well, it's better to be outside in a different situation. It's not good. We're not meant to be hermits.
No, that's right. Well, we're not meant to live in this state. Spend 24 hours in a box. You just feel better. I know there are good things like a dopamine hit or anything like that, but it just feels good to be outside, and to get out of bed I mean, when I was going through the transplant, for example, it was important to me. I couldn't do it every day, especially when things went bad. But when I could, the days that I could, I wake up. It was important to me that I changed my clothes. I just had to do something. And I think just physically speaking, it changes your mind, your outset, like your outlook. If you can just do one thing, even just one thing in that day to make you feel more positive, like you're actually doing something, you're participating in trying to recover, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, like these group things I go to DC, like the video meetings I'm attending. If I'm honest, it sounds a bit maybe arrogant, or I don't know, but I don't learn anything from these. Not because it's not useful information, but because I've learned it all before. I've got to this point because I'm kind of near the end of the line. So it's what I've actually experienced the benefit from is like the social element of it, and also, like, there's a lady yesterday. She suffers with chronic migraines, like bad migraines. I'm like, oh, have you tried magnesium? You know, it's quite a low tier, affordable thing you can do. Not expensive. You're probably deficient in it somewhat. She probably standard Western diet, so probably even worse. And it will help a lot of symptoms out. I'm like, I've just given this woman some vital information with like 50% clinical efficacy in reducing migraine frequency. That might change her life. I feel good about that.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's a great ability to be, when you do interact with other people, you can help them because this is how we all learn. This is what anecdotes are so important, I think, because you can learn from someone else's story. You know, but the social aspect I think is very important too, because we are sociable creatures, and I think it's important to interact with someone at least throughout your days. Like when you're alone all the time, that in itself is just depressing. I don't care who you are. I mean, like, I know there's people out there that prefer to have limited interaction with other people, but they still have one or two people that they do interact with. At least.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I'm extremely introverted.
I am.
May or may not shock people based on what I do, but that's why I'm quite limited in social media. Like, I have do not disturb my phone, all that sort of stuff. I don't put my email out openly most places just because I get swarmed. It largely speaking just drains me. But it's I think with human beings, it's important to have that opt-in and opt-out function of choosing whether or not you socialize it. But if you put yourself in a position where, say, I didn't go to the gym, say I didn't go to these group meetings, and I've removed that opt-in function, I've removed my opportunities. So it's not a position. So I feel bad for some people, like with people that watch my stuff that have autism. They don't have a great set of communication skills. Maybe they can't write properly or learn difficulties or something that are comorbidities. I feel bad for those people. I want to show people, like, yeah, you can go to the gym, do something, even if you don't talk to anyone. You might overhear someone's conversation. You might pick up on some new information. You might find a way to benefit in some way. So I think you're leaving a lot on the table if you're watching these podcasts all day, but it's not giving you anything. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts as well. But like Rick's on a Saturday morning for me, so Saturday afternoon for me. So that's tomorrow, probably. I don't know. It's in about 28 hours from now. Rick's one. I'm not on the screen, but I'm still participating. So I think it's important.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's good to have that. I mean, you choose when you want to interact or not. And like, I'm not big on social media and that sort of stuff either. So I find it difficult to sort of share parts of my life because I value my privacy as well, and I am quite introverted, but it's which is actually one of the benefits, I suppose, of the carnivore diet as well. It's like thinking and feeling better. I'm sort of more comfortable doing this sort of stuff now, especially compared to when I started. But it's good to have that opportunities, and you can take advantage of more, or you can shut them down whenever you want as well. I think it's just I don't know, an emotional thing, or just I mean, I think we do need some interaction at some point. So it really does help.
I had I don't disclose too much information because it may be confidential, but I did an interview with someone recently. And after the interview finished, we stopped recording on Zoom, whatever. That person said, "Oh, by the way, I suspect I live with quite strong symptoms of autism," and sort of commented on my message and stuff. And I'm like, you never know who you're going to impact. You never know. There could be hundreds of people that come across this video or something, and they're like, Christ, like, okay, this guy can do this. Maybe I can't go on video, but maybe I can, I don't know, buy one of his ebooks and read what he's doing, or even just buy someone else's stuff. Maybe they can try out some grounding or add something to their life which they weren't doing before, which is easy and approachable. That's why these sort of things are important. So if you've got any kind of neurodiversity, I do encourage people to reach out, comment below the videos, and just leave myself. Thanks, I live with autism. I like this message. Ooh, okay, great. I know that now. This applied to this person. I can start making more content based on these devices or biohacks or whatever it is. So at least I know where to allocate my time.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, yeah, some of the actually, I like looking at some creators on YouTube. Like, I'm not real big on this, trying to be popular sort of stuff on YouTube, but some creators, I mean, they have some good advice. Like, I know I was looking at a couple of different channels that actually deal with ADHD, and some of the advice is it's really really good actually. Like trying to like put things in place to help me manage my day more effectively. But one of the things was that for your channel, for example, if you have a solution to a certain type of problem, or um, uh, you know something like ADHD, for example, or autism, and you put the videos up on that could be actually really popular, because there's a lot of people, especially now, the rates of autism. So if you started speaking about how you deal with it and your solutions to different problems that you face with autism, that could actually be a new like avenue of revenue for you as well. Even if you did it on a separate channel.
Yeah, I agree. I try to put things into playlists where I can. So I've got maybe 10 videos on autism, like specific sort of videos.
Yeah.
I sort of thought, well, maybe a lot of people are too nervous to speak to me on camera. Maybe they're shy, not confident, whatever it is. Maybe they can't speak. So I've made it an option on my website. You can consult with me for email. So you can send me a list of questions. I'll respond to all of them. Done. And it's cheaper as well. So actually make it affordable for the people that, a lot of these people don't have this extra money. And, if they ask me a question, how do you manage this situation? Or what was your experience been with this? Did you find this supplement helpful? You can ask me all those questions. I'll answer them. I think just giving people that accessibility is important. So, like I said, having these videos to be shared, and just encouraging people to share it, because chances are everyone that's watching this video probably knows of someone with autism. It's quite probable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's so not so much popular, but it's pretty much. What is it? Almost 1 in 3 people now these days. I think it's quite a lot. So I think if you did maybe some more content just on autism, you'd be pretty fine, be quite popular. Like I said, even if you did even if you did a different channel, you could. Doesn't have to be carnivore muscle, because that's a real niche there. If you could have a second channel for just talking about autism. There's one channel I did like, it was just ADHD, right? And it's really popular as well. So I think it already worked for you pretty well, actually.
The thing with these autism videos is, like, some of the ones I deliberately make them to be autism friendly. So people are like, the graphics. I'm not trying to blow people's brains out of overstimulation. I'm trying to give something. Like David Attenborough voice. It's meant to be subtle, calm, collected, a bit funny, but not over the top. I'm actually making the video specifically and deliberately in such a way to entice people so they can access information. But there's a bit of humor throughout, just to, sort of take the edge off how serious it might be.
Yeah, the difference is there's probably more people with autism than there are carnivores out there. Good morning, Finn.
Good morning, Finn. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, and Harry. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, something to think about anyway.
But I think there's value in it.
I mean, it really does. Like you said, like when you tell your story, you don't know who you're going to inspire or who you're going to help by telling your story. You know, like, yeah, I get tired of, you know, the fight with YouTube and like losing views and all sorts of stuff. But
Yeah.
now and then you get a message from someone and they say like how much your story's helped them, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll keep it going, sort of thing, you know. So
Yeah, I try to keep people at arm's length. I don't know if you do the same, but
yeah,
with like the fatigue and stuff, like the thing is, someone might have a question on a video. It's never one question ever. It never is.
No.
Then they want your email, they want your Instagram, they want to message you. I'm like, the information's in this video. Check it out. Here's a playlist you'll find your answer in. I don't have time and energy to spend staring at screens all day. You know, my screen time is about 15, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
It's I'm not crazy. As much as I'd like. You want to start up YouTube, DC? It's through Harry's recommendation. I spent all day, every day helping people out. I didn't get a return on it. I didn't often get a thank you. And it was like, I'm not doing. Yeah, yes, I want to earn money, but I'm trying to find ways to market myself and my services, my products, sort of thing. So it's a bit of give and take, and it largely has been a give on my part. So that's why I'm a bit reluctant to sort of give people that, you know, the expression, give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's been largely my experience. And I do have to manage myself above all, because if I don't manage myself, it's not going to help anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
I mean, you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to take care of your own health, you know. And if you're spending like that much time on a screen, right, doing editing videos and doing all sorts of, consultancies and everything else, it's not really taking care of yourself, is it? You know, and then you've got nothing to market. You know, so
that's why I like Bart's approach and Harry's approach. Like they'll do so many hours each day or whatever it is per week, and then that's it. They chill out. So I like that idea myself.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something I've had to start working on myself as well, because I found that I was giving up too much of my time trying to do this, trying to get this done, rather than taking care of myself as well. And like you said, like it's just you get you start doing all these videos and things like that. You don't really get much back for it. Like you certainly don't get enough to live on. You certainly don't get much thanks either. So yeah, you gotta. I think like you said, like with Bart and Harry, you like separate like say 3 hours a morning something, and then after that you got to get on with your life. You know, you still have to live. You know, so I think it's important.
Yeah. The money side of it's not a driver for YouTube.
No.
I mean, I can't say exactly how much I'm earning per unit of time, but I'll probably say 1/10 of what the national living average wage is.
Oh yeah.
It's not like I make this video. All of a sudden, say it's 2 hours. You know, over here it's average wage is about £12, so like $15 equivalent. I'm not making $30 for this video. Like if I go to the analytics after the fact, it's maybe $3, maybe.
Yeah, I think like the biggest
plug a few ebooks.
one I've made is the biggest one I've made me $10. You know, so you're really not making money. Like, and it takes you days to put these things together. So you basically analyze it down. It's like you're getting maybe about 2 cents an hour. So
people will then say to you, DC, "Oh, you're a sellout because you're trying to sell T-shirts." I'm like, you're selling relevant T-shirts to your audience, which is specific to them, which is health promoting, which is probably going to improve the quality of life. That's affordable, nice branding. You've invested time and energy to put it all together and set up a shop, whatever. So yeah, you're entitled to earn some money for that. Of course, you're not ripping people off. You're not pigeonholing people. Say, oh no, you can only access my videos if you spend $60 on a T-shirt. You're giving out the information for free, so it's you're doing well. I commend you for that.
Well, thanks, man. But yeah, I mean, that was the reason why. It's to help fund, the research that I do and the videos that I give people for free, the information that I give them, So, I need something to fund it because it's not like people are just throwing money at me. So and like you said, and I'm actually trying to find sources now of more natural products as well, like hemp and wool and things like that as well. Because natural products, much healthier clothes than the stuff that people wear, generally speaking. With spandex.
I'll be all over that stuff if I had to spare money. It's a thing I've not really looked into that much. So
so there's things people don't really put much thought into either, because they don't really think about what they wear is going to affect their health. And I was the same. Like, it wasn't long ago. Like, I thought the same about light. It didn't matter about false light and all this sort of stuff. But it's amazing the difference that it makes. It's a huge difference. And I think what you touch is the same.
Yeah, I've got two main people that send super chats and things. So one of them is a big Nev he did earlier, and the other one is Juliet's. You've probably come across both of them before. They're some of the most generous people I know, and I know at least one of them is not in a position to be able to sort of help as much as they do. It reminds me of like the rich man of Lazarus. I'm not really a believer or anything, but it's basically a biblical story where basically sort of the moral is it's not about how much you give, it's how much you give in proportion to what you have. It's like this big there, right. 10 euros. He had his house robbed. Like a few weeks back. He's still sort of trying to help, advocate, promote. It goes a long way. And it means a lot based on, 10 euros is nothing to snuff at, but
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you've got $1 million and you give 10 euro, that's not really. I mean, it's flicking like a 20-cent coin, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got 100 euro and you give 10 of it away, that's a much bigger percentage, isn't it? It's a much bigger portion of what they're giving. There's much more generosity.
I support a few channels myself of what I can afford, and maybe it doesn't do much in terms of their bank balance. It's like, if they see me comment and I'm a member of their channel, maybe they'll join as well. Maybe they'll give a bit more because they have a better position to pay for more. So,
I mean, I'm the same. Like, I support what I can. You do. I mean, we all do. We do what we can with what we've got, But I think it's also encouraging. It actually helps keep us going as well. So there's always that too. I think. RFK Jr. in charge of all aspects of the U.S. government, health and science, is talking a lot about autism. Yeah, it might make for a niche video channel. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I think 1 in 31 people have it in the USA. Yeah, I mean, the amount that autism has gone up over even just the last 50 years, like from, and they've admitted this, that it's due to, childhood vaccines and things like that, So, yeah. So, yeah, I think it's all part of it, isn't it? It's like, you can have a look at what the news is talking about with autism as well, and how you manage it and all sorts of things. So it's quite a big subject. You could really talk a lot about that.
Yeah, it's going to sound a bit weird to people listening to this. I'll probably wrap up in a second, but when I was diagnosed with autism, a lot of people I know have been like, "Oh, what caused it? What caused it?" It's like, forget about what caused it. You have it now. It's kind of a bit inbuilt to what your makeup is, your social experiences. So, as much as you can reduce heavy metals, whatever it happens to be, it's only going to take you so far because you've learned that behaviors. So with me, I try to get people past that grieving process where, why me? Why is it, let's just accept you have it, move on. What can you do to improve your symptoms? So I try to direct people more that direction personally, but there's a certain value to understanding why, but how would you deal with it? That's more important to me.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I mean, once you've got it, there's no getting rid of it, right? You just, whining over it's not going to help. All you can do now is manage it and try and improve it. And I was the same way about my cancer, because when I was first diagnosed, and even when I started the channel, it's like, or was it, you know, because of the Fukushima power plant? Was it because of this? Was it because of, you know, was it this? Was it that sort of thing? And even now, people still will ask me, like, was it because of this and that? And it's like, well, I mean, I know what it is basically caused by now, but yeah, at the time, it was like, I don't care how it happened at the moment. Like when I was first diagnosed, I didn't care how, you know, or why. All I cared about was just, okay, look, let's just get rid of it. You know, from day one, it was always from day one for me, it was like, what do I do to get rid of this bloody thing? You know, even though they're telling me like this is it, this is the best it's ever going to be, it's never going to improve, it's only going to get worse the rest of your life, sort of thing. I was still thinking, look, just dose me up, cut me out, and let me go. That was it. That's all I wanted them to do. I just wanted it gone. I didn't care how it got there. I just wanted it gone. That's it. And I think that's, you know, where a lot of people sort of jump off the cliff when they think, well, all they do is they spend their time thinking, why me? Why, you know, how did this happen, sort of thing. That didn't bother me at the time. You know, I mean,
when I finish, when I finish in the gym, I usually look in the mirror for a split second. I go, "Try me, motherfucker! Try me, bitch!" I'm thinking that, and I'm saying that out loud, and I'm like, it's kind of like an affirmation thing, sort of say, accept, work from it, accept, work from it. So it's another part of my ritual. So I encourage people to try and do that sort of thing, like, you know, move past that grieving, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I like, yeah, I was the same. I was angry, you know, I was angry about it. I was angry that I got sick. I was angry at myself. I was like a challenge to myself. It's like, you know, like FOFA, you know, and just, you know, let's go. Yeah, I think that helps. It helps to be that way. You know, I think you sort of you challenge yourself. You know, and I think you have to do that. You have to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself to try something new. And I tried everything. Yeah, a lot of it didn't work. Most of it didn't work. But
statistically speaking, DC, you should be eating a standard Western diet, significantly over fat, on all the welfare in the world, staring at, I don't know, your screen all day doing nothing, watching TV, but you're not.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Like rise or die kind of thing.
Well, that's it. That's, I mean, that is basically it. That is basically your two choices there. You either rise or you die, you know. And I was very much in that mindset. It was like either get on with living or get on with dying. You know, either way, just do it, because you get sick of staring at the damn ceiling all day, real quick. You know, exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm familiar. So, yeah, one's very close to me as well.
So. Yeah. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts.
Yeah, I think we'll probably leave it there. I think we've left it on a good note, which is probably important. People listening.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Actually, it's been quite a long chat. Actually, the time went pretty quick.
It's been productive.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers, everyone. We will see you again next week.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.